Things will get weird. Those are not my words, but from Indestructoboy, a fellow YouTuber and the brain behind Vagabond RPG, but also the creator of the Vanguard class for 5th edition. Hi there fellow roleplayers and game masters, my name is Mr. Trosk and this is still your go-to YouTube channel for everything tabletop RPG. And a person by the name of Taryn, who goes on YouTube by the name of Indestructoboy, has sent me these little booklets a few weeks ago. The Vanguard class for 5th edition and the Alchemist class for 5th edition. And yes, they are just one class, not a subclass, but a class, and still you can get them on print on demand. Now there's 26, 28 pages or something like this, and it comes with a little bit of an extra thingy in there, and there's some cool stuff in here that I want to talk about. So what I want to do in this video is quickly go over these booklets, like what you get, and then open the Vanguard class as a PDF and just look at some of the design choices Taryn decided to make. But before I go deeper into these booklets, I want to shout out quickly Vagabond Tabletop RPG, which is the tabletop RPG coming from Indestructoboy, which is now being kickstarted, and I really love it. I have been looking at it, I've been looking into like the mechanics of it, and I will be talking about it more on my channel once it releases and once there is more. But Vagabonds, I'm reading this, is a lean and mean tabletop role-playing game, laser focused on practical play with a modern tabletop RPG feel. And something that Taryn is doing with this is he is kind of streamlining this for solo play, which is actually something that I'm looking to get into for when I'm like bored on a plane or on a toilet or whatever. So make sure to click the link in the description below and check it out for yourself. And if you want to back it, and if it's not for you, leave it alone. Now, what do you get when you buy one of these classes? Now, the first thing I need to say is this is just 2 out of a few classes that Indestructoboy has created for 5th edition. So there is the Vanguard class, which is the one that caught my eye the most, which I will be talking about in this video. There is the Alchemist class, which is an Alchemist, which is perfect to me for low magic settings, because often when you play low magic setting, you don't really know what to do with spellcasting, but with the Alchemist, you can really have people do all kinds of stuff to create the right like potions and poisons to do spell-like abilities, but they aren't really like spells in the sense of like rules and all of that stuff. So the Alchemist is perfect for that, but there's also a class called the Dancer, which I still need to look in. There is the Merchant and the Runekeeper, but today I want to focus on the Vanguard. And when you buy one of these booklets, you get a full class. You get like the introduction of a class, why the class exists in the world, how it could exist in worlds, and then you get like in the entire class features with a lot of like great art and all of that stuff. But also there's backgrounds that come with it, like the backgrounds you can choose in order to have it make sense. There's actually new feats in here as well, and there is equipment in here. For example, the Vanguard class has a special shield, the Tower Shield. The Tower Shield grants you half cover, so on top of the +2 you get from your shield, you also get +2 if you're behind your shield and the attack comes from the right direction, right? Something like that. And then something really cool they added is the extra art, just like concept art that they had when they were designing this, and I really like that as a little bit of an extra when you buy these booklets. So without further ado, let's look into the Vanguard. So here it is, the Vanguard class, a martial tank class of stalwart bastions by Taryn Indestructoboy Pounds. Now this class is one of those classes that I'm happy that it's a full new class and it's not like a subclass for the fighter or the barbarian or whatever, because this is completely different, and Taryn was able to do a lot of really cool stuff with this. So it's all about being that tank of tanks, like holding a big ass motherfucking shield in one hand and using your fist to bound people with the other hand, not necessarily holding a weapon or whatever. As you can see from the artwork, it is a fully armored person with a shield that's way too big. If I had to carry it, I'd probably sink it to the ground, whatever. So the Vanguard class. What we get here is a full new class. As you can see, here is the class art again, and it is a full class in the sense that it goes all the way from level 1 all the way up to level 20, and you can already see a bunch of new powers. I have to zoom in for this one. A bunch of new powers. It's called like Shield Bearer, Guard, for rampage charge, lockdown, ever ready, stalwart vigilance, all of that stuff. And yeah, I really like most of this stuff. Some of the stuff kind of sometimes confuses me, but then when you read on, it stops confusing me because it becomes clear. So you have to like read through most of this class in order to like fully get it. But it just makes sense for me to be like that stalwart person, right? Just being in front of the party, soaking up all of the damage, taking all of the punches, but you're fully armored, you have that big ass shield. So let's start at level 1. I'm not going to go all the way up to level 20 because that doesn't really interest me. For me, the main focus of 5th edition, the most fun is had at around like level 6, 7, 8, like tier 2 is for me where 5th edition really shines. Starting like level 10, 11, 12 is where 5th edition for me falls apart a little bit. It just becomes too much for me as a game master to run or as a player to keep track of and all that stuff. Dual shields. You can benefit from wielding 2 shields at the same time, like giants do. There's these giants that do, right? If you do, the armor class bonus, the second shield is halved, and you can use a bonus action on your turn to try and shove a creature. Tower shield. This is more for me. While you are wielding a tower shield, which is an equipment thing later in this book, you can use a bonus action to take on a wide stance, providing half cover to creatures of your choice within 5 feet of you until the start of your next turn or until you doff the shield. So I really like that. It's like starting at level 1, you really have like this Vanguard type thing going on. You just put your shield and get behind cover, and everybody's like standing halfly behind your shield, and then they're poking with their sticks or casting spells from behind your shield, kind of. That's basically what it's all about. For example, you have this fighter with a lance just trying to poke people with their lance while they're behind your shield. I absolutely love that kind of stuff. So Terran is doing a good job from the start. For 3rd edition, I played a lot of, the subclass was called, I think it was the Dwarven Defender or something like that, or the Shield Dwarf or something. It was a subclass in 3rd edition, which I played a heck of a lot, and this just kind of reminds me of it. So if I'd play this, I'd play a Dwarf. Also at level 1, in battle, you stand guard over your allies, ready to be there. If you take the ready action to move up to your speed. Now, this sentence, when I first read it, it didn't make any sense, but it makes sense later in the class. If you take the ready action to move up to your speed, you can try to shove a creature during the same reaction. Additionally, if a creature provokes an opportunity attack from you, you can try to shove it instead. So this class, from the get-go, is all about protecting your allies, but also shoving people around and pushing them into the direction that you want to push them, maybe like off a cliff or into like a spiked wall or something like that. Let's go into the second level, right? So while wearing heavy armor, you are a walking bastion of unbreakable poise, granting you the following benefits. Any bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage you take is reduced by an amount equal to half your Vanguard level. I like it. I like that it's not just, I like that it's not like you being resistant to it, something simple like that. It's more like, yeah, if you're level 8, you're better at it than when you're level 4. If you're level 16, you're even better at it than when you were level 8. And all of the bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, it doesn't say magical bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing, so there could be some overlap there. You count as being one size larger, minimum of large, when making strength-based ability checks and strength saving throws. Love it. If you succeed in shoving a target that is your size or smaller, you can push it up to 10 feet away from you, or push the target up to 5 feet, important, and knock it prone. As a fighter type person, somebody who loves to play fighter, like the Battle Master, for example, I love knocking people prone. That is like one of my go-to things that I do as a fighter. I have this fighter that I play in almost all games that I ever play in, which is called Average Bob, who has an average shield and an average standard military issue spear, and is just the most average person in the world, but he can knock people prone with his spear, right? So, which is really powerful if you get that extra attack. It is really powerful if there's a fighter or a paladin or whatever next to you, because a paladin gets to attack with advantage, upping the chances basically that they crit, giving them higher smite damage if they crit, all of that stuff. Knocking people prone is one of those combo starters that's sometimes absolutely insane. Rampage Charge. You can throw Caution to the Winds to break enemy lines. If you move at least 10 feet in a straight line, you can choose to charge in a straight line for the rest of the move. Wait, if you move at least 10 feet in a straight line, you move into a space of another creature during the charge, you can try to shove it again. If you successfully shove it, you successfully shove it, you push it ahead of you for the rest of your move. The charge ends early if you lose a contest to shove a creature. If you push a creature into a structure, or any creature pushed into a structure take bludgeoning damage equal to 2d6 plus your strength modifier. Love it. There's this big ass dude, just this big ass tower of a person, just charging at you with a freaking shield. They're not even holding a freaking weapon. They're still charging at you. It is a matter of getting the fuck out of there or being shoved into the wall and being squished to death, basically. Yeah, I like how you can just squish people with this. Let's just look at it a little more, like a few more levels, and then I will go more into like the other stuff that comes with this book. There is, oh, by the way, at level 3, you get to choose a mandate, which I think is a really cool thing. It's your subclass thing, right? It's where at 3rd level you choose a mandate that embodies the tactics you employ in defending others. It's kind of like a paladin's oath or a fighter's subclass, whatever thingy, or a cleric's. Why is it that I always forget that stuff when I push the record button? Anyway, and there is of course even more awesome stuff, like on level 9, for example, you are fearless. You have advantage on saving throws to avoid or end being frightened. And you can't be frightened by any creature whose strength score is lower than you. That's really, really cool. There is abilities that's called like Tireless, Behemoth Might, Power Through. When you are subjected to an effect that you can see that requires to make a dexterity saving throw, you can use your Constitution modifier in place of your dexterity modifier if you aren't incapacitated. That makes just that makes sense for this class, because let's say you need to make a dexterity save in order to rocks fall, right? Normal people try to jump out of the way. The Vanguard class can probably jump like 1 meter with his armor and his shield, but he has his tower shield. He can hold his tower shield above them and just, when the rocks fall, so it just makes sense for storytelling purposes of this class. And that is basically like the design stuff that comes with this class. So I don't want to like go through the entire class. There are the mandates, which is a Ardent, if that's the correct way to pronounce it, a Dreadlord, and there is a Juggernaut. Yeah, there's more of these dudes. There's like this giant type dude who holds a shield, who is behind like he holds like 2 small shields and he's behind the ice rock. And then there are more character options outside of the main class. So the class is a full class with its subclasses, with its class abilities all the way up to a level 20. But there's also character options like a background called the Bodyguard, and like a few feats and even a few spells. But there's, for example, the feat called Bully, which is really interesting. It is a feat that says you're content with picking on someone your own size, but little guys are just more convenient. You gain the following benefits. You are proficient with improvised attacks you make with corpses and creatures. So you can swing a freaking corpse around and be proficient with it, which is cool and funny. You can use a medium or small creature you are grappling as both a shield and as an improvised weapon with the thrown property of a range of 20 feet. Attacks made with a creature, I have to scroll up, with a creature this way deal 1d8 plus your strength modifier bludgeoning damage on a hit. If the creature you are using as a weapon isn't a corpse, it takes this damage as well. When you are hit by an attack, you can use your reaction to cause a creature you are grappling to take the damage instead. You can't use this reaction if the creature is a corpse. I love it. That is why I like the design of this. So you can feel the entire class and all of the class features and everything you read in this module, you can feel that it is built with this Vanguard class in mind. It's not just a bunch of random stuff you can put in your game. No, you can really fully embrace this class, and there's some really cool and funny and out of left field choices that Theron made, and I love it. I love this funny and wicked approach to a class like this. There's also equipment in here. For example, like I already said, he adds a tower shield. It grants you half cover, and that's really cool because it's kind of like a combination. He has a rule reminder in here, which is awesome that he has this. A target can benefit from cover only when an attack or other effect originates on the opposing side of the cover. A creature that gains the benefit of half cover has +2 in their armor class and dexterity saving throws. And then there is a little thing here that +2 to armor class of half cover is not your shield's armor class bonus. So on top of the +2 you get from the tower shield, you get a +2 to your armor. So let's say you have 19 armor because you're wearing some kind of armor, and then you have +2 from your armor. You have 21 armor. Your armor class becomes 21. Getting behind your shield, if the attack comes from the right direction, from that direction, you get another +2 to your armor class. But if the attack comes from behind you, it basically you don't get the +2, which could be somewhat weird to play if you're playing Theater of the Mind. It is really hard to like say like I'm facing that way or I'm facing that way, because in D&D you don't really face a particular way in combat. So if you are playing with miniatures, you should really get yourself a miniature with a shield in the front and then turn your miniature around to see from where you have half cover, because if a lot of people get piled up, you get half cover from some, but you don't get half cover from others. So it could be a little bit weird to play. And then there is the entire artwork section, which you just get, which is cool that they added it in here. Helmets and tower shields and all that stuff. How this artwork kind of originated. Really love it. Theron did an awesome job on this. And that's it for the Vanguard class by Theron. Now, if you're interested in picking up the Vanguard class or the Alchemist class or the Dancer class or the Merchant class, make sure to click the link in the description below. It will take you to the Dungeon Master Guild or Drive to RPG or one of both stores where the classes are. Now, the Vanguard class, I have to say, all of it makes sense, and that's what I love the most about this kind of stuff. When I read third-party modules or even Wizards of the Coast modules, I often have like a feeling that some of the stuff is just like stuff taken and put into a class for the sake of having stuff in a class. I don't really know how to say it, but this, like the feats that are in here, the spells that are in here, the background that is in here, the art that is in here, and all of the class features and the subclasses all tie into that like basic idea of having that master of defenses, that master of shoving and pushing people around and being the person with the shield in front. That entire feeling comes back in every word that is written in this class. So if you're interested, make sure to click the link in the description below. And until next video, bye-bye.